Well, turning to the United States now, where former President Donald Trump doubled down on his demonization of immigrants in a speech Thursday. The presidential candidate describing the U.S. as a country occupied, these are his words, by hordes of foreign criminals. Now, that 80-minute-long diatribe, I think, is really the only way you can describe it, illustrates just how unfiltered Republican rhetoric on immigration has become. Take a listen.
These are the people that we have coming into our country, and we're now known as, and all throughout the world, as an occupied country. We're an occupied country, can you believe? And you know, they have a lot of people. If you think about it, 21 million, not including the gotaways. You know what a gotaway is? Those are the people that just run and nobody knows who the hell they are.
All right, well, I have on set with me now France 24's Kethevane Gorjestani, international affairs editor, and of course our former Washington correspondent. Hi, Kethevane.
Hello.
So what is Donald Trump trying to achieve with these incendiary comments in Aurora, Colorado?
Well, first of all, it's interesting that he went to Colorado because if you think about it, Colorado hasn't voted for a Republican president in 20 years. So it's not a battleground state at all. But he chose Aurora because it was a way of in-person making a case on an issue that he believes is an issue that is positive for the Republicans, which is the issue of immigration. And he repeated those false, or at the very least grossly exaggerated claims about undocumented immigrants in that city. So Aurora is a suburb of Denver. It has around 400,000 residents there. And we heard what he said about that town, about how it was invaded, occupied. And he's really referring to something that happened back in the summer, which is that there were reports that 3 apartment complexes, we're talking about 3 apartment complexes in a city of 400,000 residents, where managers were saying that they couldn't get to those buildings because they were controlled by armed Venezuelan gang members. And so that was what was blocking them. That has turned into what we heard from the president, the former president, saying that the city is overrun and controlled by gang members. It has been debunked several times by local officials, including the conservative Republican mayor of the city, who had to put out a statement stating that migrant gangs had not taken over the city and that the incidents were really limited to just a handful of buildings in that city, and that law enforcement had already been on the case and were responding and pointing out that major crimes had actually gone down 17% in this city of Aurora. But it reminds us of some very similar story that we saw in Springfield, Ohio, where Donald Trump insisted repeatedly that Haitian migrants who were actually in the U.S. legally were taking over that town, and not only taking over that town, that they were in the country illegally and that they were eating people's pets, cats, and dogs. There again, the local officials, Republican mayors, Republican officials, Republican governor coming out and saying this is simply not true. But as you said, this is a rhetoric, dehumanizing rhetoric, to point out the issue of immigration, calling immigrants animals. He recently talked about how the immigrants were bringing in bad genes in the United States, that they were monsters and that they needed to be stopped because he believes that immigration is an issue that can be an issue that helps him win the election in November.
So that's one element of Donald Trump's strategy as time dwindles ahead of this presidential election. Now, with just 3 weeks left, then what are his and Kamala Harris's strategies in a more general sense moving forward?
Well, there is, of course, the idea of motivating your base and getting your base to turn out and vote. But you're also right now in the last few weeks trying to reach those pursuable voters, those who maybe haven't made up their minds yet, aren't really sure about whether they're going to vote. And you're seeing this with Donald Trump. Yes, he's made some very incendiary comments about immigrants, especially South American immigrants, but he's also trying to court those same Latino voters who are U.S. citizens. He's doing a roundtable with Latinos. He's doing a town hall with Univision, Spanish language channel. He's also trying to court women, where he has a massive gap with Kamala Harris. He's going to hold a town hall with Fox News that is going to be an audience exclusively made up of women to talk about women's issues. And Kamala Harris, she's doing sort of the same thing. She's trying to court Republicans who don't want to vote for Donald Trump. You had that rally with Liz Cheney, for example. She was also in Arizona with a rally that was called Country Over Party. But she's also courting her weakest spot, which is men without a college degree. And she's doing a lot of podcasts that are really listened to by a lot of males, and especially young males, young black men and young Latino men. She did All the Smoke, a basketball podcast, and she's going to do Breakfast Club with Charlemagne the God, which has 8 million people tuning in, and mostly males and especially men of color, which is a group with which, yes, she's doing better than Donald Trump, but not in the same gaps that Joe Biden won in 2020 with. So she's trying to reconstruct the coalition that helped Joe Biden win in 2020.
Kethevane Gorjestani, thank you very much.